Welcome to our next video on function composition. This is usually taught in the same area as function operations, but it's a little bit different, a little bit more complicated. Why? Well, what is a function composition? A function composition is quite simply putting one inside the other. So how do we do it? Well, we can start out easy. What happens if I ask you to take two functions, f and g, and find f of g of 4? Okay, well, we would work kind of like you've learned since Algebra 1 with parentheses, really grade school. Work from the inside out, g of 4. Okay, in a mapping diagram, I find 4 for x, and what is it? G of 4 is 5. Right? Because that's what the diagram tells me. In g of x, when the variable x equals 4, the function, the range, gives me a value of 5. Okay? And then, so what I'm saying here is find f of g of 4. So if I know what g of 4 is, I can substitute it, right? So I'm saying find f now of 5. Okay, well in f, I go to 5 and I find 7. So f of 5 equals 7. And that's equal to f of g of 4. So you're finding the value of the inside function and then plugging it in to the outside function. I can do this with a rule as well. Find f of g of 9, okay? So I need to find g of 9. Negative 9, sorry. And the rule here for g is 4 times a plus 3. So I'm going to put in a negative 9 for a. 4 times negative 9 is negative 36, plus 3 is negative 33. Okay, so going back to my original, I would like f of g of negative 9. I just figured out that g of negative 9 is negative 33, and I now need to find f of that value. F is 4a minus 2. 4 times negative 33 minus 2. Well, 4 times negative 33 is going to be negative 132 minus 2. And so then after that, I'm going to have negative 134. So f of g of negative 9 is the same as f of negative 33, which is negative 134. Right? You go ahead and try this one. G of h of negative 3. And the answer here is going to be negative 94. So if we have the problem g of h of negative 3, we find h of negative 3 first, which is negative 45. And then we find g of that value. G of negative 45 is negative 94. Right? Okay, last thing I did want to show you before we move on to the next thing is if we have a different notation. This notation, g open circle h, means the same thing as g of h of 4. So that open circle is not multiplication. That open circle means, and I kind of think of that as the O and of, g of h of 4. Okay, so we're going to do this the same way that we did the others. We're going to say first I need to find h, that's the inside function of 4, which that's going to be 4 times 4 plus 3. 16 plus 3 is 19. Now I need to find g of that value. So g of 19 is going to be equal to 19 minus 1. And so then from there we would have 18. So g of h of 4 is 18. Okay? Inside function, then outside. Okay. The last thing that we will do, the last thing that we have, is what happens, and I can do this, if we have a variable inside our inside function, g of f of x. And I'm going to use the other notation just to make this a little bit clearer. G of h of x. So because I don't have a value here, what this is telling me is take the whole function f of x and plug it into the formula for g for the variable. So we're going to use the formula for g, 4 times x plus 5, but instead of a number for x, we're going to plug in the whole rule for f, the x to the third plus 3. And then we're going to simplify. So we're going to do 4 times x to the third and 4 times 3, 4x to the third plus 12, and then we still have that plus 5, and then we're going to finish up by combining like terms. 4x to the third plus 17. So if you're given something like that, what you want to do, again, the inside function, and really use that g of f of x type notation. Don't use the open circle because the other notation makes it much clearer. And it's saying take g, find the value of g when the variable equals the whole formula for f of x. So you're going to take that x cubed plus 3 and plug it in. Okay? All right. Last thing is I want you to try this one. Find h of g of n. And the final answer here is negative 3n to the third plus 15n squared minus 6n plus 3. There were no like terms when you were done, so this was the end. But again, they asked you to find the value of function h when the variable in that case was the whole rule for g of n. Okay, the last thing I want to say, most times people will not do this, but it is a possibility. If you are given something like h of g of 6, you may find this h of g of n and then just plug the value in to the variable there. Most people won't do that because it seems like a lot more work, but that is a possibility. All right, thanks for watching this video on function composition.